As many of you know, we did have some tornadoes in the Carolinas last Thursday with a very significant squall line that came through the Carolinas. And as bad as it was here, it was even worse to our west and other portions of the deep south, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Evan Fisher caught up with our friends from the Sirens Project who were in Georgia. Here's a little bit of what they saw and how you can help the storm victims.
Warren, recently over the past couple of weeks, you've been pretty busy with your nonprofit, the Sirens Project, down in Georgia. Can you tell us a little bit about what you saw in Georgia following the storms back on, what was it, January 12th?
Yeah, it was last Thursday. So we have a rapid response team that we deploy with Sirens Project, and that's usually here in the Southeast, that's usually the day of a tornado event. Started our day off in Rome, Georgia. And so kind of the feel for the day was, it was forecast to be a little bit more linear in nature. So we were just going to follow the line from north to south and just kind of bounce along the edge and just be ready to cut trees out of the road, link up with local law enforcement, and just kind of be a supplement to first responders in that area, whatever area that was going to be. Around lunchtime, we realized that the threat in North Georgia was waning, and that Central to South Georgia was going to be the play of the day. And we focused in on that supercell that produced the Selma, Alabama tornado, which was a long track tornado.
As you will remember, that supercell that Warren is talking about, it was easy for them to track. It was on the ground for 75 miles coming across portions of Alabama.
And that same area, same line, produced a pretty significant tornado in Georgia as well. I think LaGrange, I believe, is the town that it hit. And that was one of those systems that overperformed. Not severity-wise, but just tornado-wise altogether. There were numerous tornadoes last week, and it was a pretty nasty setup. And we talked about it last week on our show about the severe weather setup. I believe we had a tornado in Gaston County at EF0, a few down in the South Carolina area as well. So it was a pretty nasty line, but definitely the most intense part of these tornadoes were there tracking across Alabama into Georgia.
Yeah, listen to what Warren says about those ones that went into Georgia.
The supercell in Selma, Alabama has the potential to really cause some damage here in Georgia. And so we lined up with it just north of LaGrange and came in behind it, let the circulation go by us to the south by probably 4 or 5 miles. And, at that time there was a CC drop and a debris ball was evident. And so we just followed in behind it, got on the damage path. And within about 15 minutes, we came across our first downed tree. And there was a sheriff there kind of, trying to do what he could with the situation. Traffic was starting to back up pretty bad. And so we hopped out with our saws and started to get to work. And the sheriff was very appreciative that we were here to help jump in. And then before we knew it, there were several locals getting involved, and one had a heavy piece of equipment, and it was a John Deere skid steer. And so we started, cutting that tree up into larger pieces since we had the machine there, and the machine really helped clear that area, that roadway. And then the sheriff was like, we have a lot more areas just outside of Griffin that need a lot of assistance. Half a mile to 3/4 of a mile from downtown Griffin, where the fire station was, and that was still blocked in. And so the sheriff department gave us an escort to those areas that still had downed trees. And so we continued working with those locals well into the night. We started about 5 p.m. And went until about midnight. Clearing roadways, major roadways. And so
that's amazing. I know you were a huge blessing to all of those folks down there impacted by that supercell. But with the people that you interacted with, the sheriff's department and everyone else, what was the morale like amongst people impacted by the storms?
I think it was a lot of kind of disbelief at first. Okay, we just went through a tornado. The locals more so than we did. We were a couple of miles behind the circulation, so they're kind of a little frantic at first. But once we got into a good workflow, they were just super excited to be able to help out. And I think we just kind of all fed off of each other. And when we started making progress on that first tree, I think we just kind of snowballed into a mindset of we just need to get this done so we can open up some roadways and get traffic moving and people back to their homes to check on their family and stuff. And so,
yeah, that's wonderful. We were just chatting about this before we started recording here. We've been in contact, Sirens Project and Carolina Weather Group, since 2018, 2019, maybe even a little bit before then. We've known each other for years, and it's been so amazing seeing how you guys help out and how the organization has grown in that time. How can our viewers help in times like this? We specialize in hazardous tree removal, so that's kind of our bread and butter after natural disasters, and so that takes skilled volunteers, and that also takes financial abilities, also equipment, fuel, that sort of thing. So I'd say if you want to get involved, if you have a skill set in tree removals or anything like that, or just want to help these communities directly, you can check out our website at sirensproject.org, and there's multiple ways that you can get involved or help us, financially in the field.
Some really cool work the Sirens Project guys do. We've had them on the show before. You may remember them. As the storm chasers we featured a couple years back, were flying drones into tornadoes. Well, their mission has evolved. They are now doing, as Warren explained, the first response, helping with the tree removal, which helps them reopen the roads, get help in there, get the locals back home. And so we're glad to be able to connect with them. And thanks to our Evan Fisher for catching up with them.